By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how to make way more sales than your competitors simply by picking the correct printing option. Now, what do I mean by printing option? Well, you don't really have many options. You basically just have two. You can either have black and white, or you can have colored option. Let me show you the difference. So you're going to have black and white, or you can have color. Now, when it comes to color, I understand that there's two types of printing options. You got standard color and you have premium color. Now, we're going to leave premium color to the side just for now, but we're going to stick with the standard color. And then afterwards, I'll tell you more about premium color because that's like an anomaly. No one really uses premium color, but I'm going to show you how to effectively use premium color as well, so you can make more money and more sales. But anyway, when it comes to printing options, most people prefer black and white. Why is that? Well, the biggest reason is because it has low cost. And if it costs less to produce, that means you actually have a higher margin, so you make more profit. Now, if we know that black and white has low cost and higher profit margin, that means that color usually has a higher printing cost, so it actually costs more to print the pages because you have to pay for the extra color inside. So you know when you buy your printer, you have to pay for those extra colors, the RGB colors or the CMYK colors. If you just have a printer that prints black and white, you just pay for the black ink. That's it. You don't pay for the pink one, you don't pay for the blue one, you don't pay for the yellow one. I don't know what the ink colors are, but you don't pay for any of them. Only the black one. Black is super cheap. So if it has a higher cost, it also has a lower profit margin. But color can actually be much better than black and white in certain circumstances. Now, just so you can understand the difference between these two, I'm going to give you an example. So let's say we're making a book about football stories for kids. So we have stories for kids over here, and we have the same thing over here. Now, the printing cost of a book actually depends on the pages. So we're going to set the same pages for both of them. So we're going to do a 150 page book. Now, we also want to make the same amount of profit for both of them. So it's an equal test. We're going to say $5 profit. Now, if we want to do a 150 page black and white interior book, then that's going to give us a printing cost of $280. It costs $280 to print this book. However, for the standard color one, we're going to talk about premium later, but for the standard color one, the printing cost is going to be around $5. I think it's $5.05 for 150 pages. So this is double the printing cost. Now, here's the thing. In order for us to both achieve $5 profit for each one, then the price of the black and white one needs to be around $12.99. But for the standard color one, the price needs to be around $16.99 in order to achieve $5 profit. Now, here's the thing. Most of you guys are doing low content or medium content, and usually you don't see books priced higher than $12.99, which is why the first thing you want to think about before you pick if you're going to do black and white or color is, does the marketplace buy books at that price? So are there books at $16.99 in the marketplace that are selling? If there are, then great. That means you can actually make a colored version of a book, price it at $16.99, and then make your $5 profit. Obviously, if the marketplace price is higher than $16.99, you will just end up making more profit. But if you're publishing in a niche where the maximum price is $12.99, then it's not worth it for you to pick a colored version of your book. You don't want to choose color because then you're barely making any profit. You're probably making $1 or $2 profit. And it's very, very hard for you to succeed with a very, very low profit margin. Not impossible, just much harder. Now, the market price is going to tell you, are customers actually buying higher priced books? If they are, great. You can pick colored. If they're not, perfect. You have to pick black and white. Otherwise, the profit is not enough to get you to succeed or to make it easy for you to succeed. You're basically making it so much harder on yourself. If you have a very, very low price book with colored interior, that will give you minimum profit because profit allows you to scale and grow. If you don't have profit, you can't scale and grow. So market price is the first thing that you want to look at, but that's not the only thing. Now, before I move on to the second thing, you guys might be curious about premium color. Well, here's premium color. If you want to do the exact same thing, 150 pages and make $5 profit, then your price for your premium color needs to be around $26.40. If your book is priced at $26.40, then great, you're making $5 profit with premium color. Now, some of you are going to see this and say, oh, that's insane. And it is insane for certain niches. But there are niches, again, like we talked about, where the market price is $20, $30, $40. If that's your niche, then you can price it at $26.40. But the thing is, that's for 150 pages. So if you actually want to make more profit with premium color, you have two options. Either you can raise your price, and by the way, this counts for standard color as well. Either you can raise your price if the market price allows you to raise it. That means if you already have competitors selling at a higher price. So if you have 2 or 3 people selling at $30 and they're making a bunch of sales and there's demand for that book, then that proves that people are willing to pay that amount of money for that book. So they'll be willing to pay for your book as well at a higher price. So either you raise your price to increase your profit, or you lower your pages, which will lower your printing cost, which again will increase your profit. So with premium color, you have to be very careful to actually look at the market price, look at your profit, look at your page count, and all of that. But anyway, now that we understand the math, here's the important part. How do you actually destroy your competitors by using colored interiors? Well, here's the thing. Let's say we're both doing a football book for kids, and it's for kids ages 8 to 10. You have to buy either my book or my friend's book. My friend published a black and white book, some stories about kids. There's some illustrations which are in black and white, and then that's one of your options. Now, my option is a colored version of that book. Again, it has illustrations, it has stories, however, it has colored illustrations. It's got nice chapters and nice elements all around. Everything is colored, everything is nice, it's more enjoyable. Which one would you pick? Some people are going to say, well, it depends on the price, and I agree with you, some people buy things based on the price. But when it comes to colored options, they have some slight advantages. Now, one of the advantages is that it's actually visually appealing. So sometimes I see some cookbooks where they got black and white images of the food, and I'm thinking, who would buy a black and white cookbook? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even look good. Imagine you buy a cookbook, someone comes around your house, you open it, and it's like black and white images of fish and meat. And I don't know, it doesn't look that good. I would much rather have a cookbook with colored interior pages, so I could see the images, and I could see the colors, and I could see the dishes. That makes for a more visually appealing book. It's a more enjoyable book. Now, if it's more visually appealing and it's more enjoyable, then it's easier to sell. I'm not saying it's easy to sell, it's just easier to sell a colored version of a book rather than a black and white one, especially if they're the same price. If his book is $12.99, the black and white one, and my colored book is $12.99, wouldn't you pick the colored one? Same story, same everything, it's just my one is colored. My one is more enjoyable to read. When a kid sees it, they're going to be like, oh wow, this one looks much more appealing, because kids are attracted to colors. So most of the times it's easier to sell a colored book. Now here's the thing, most of your competitors are very greedy. They don't think about the customer. In fact, they just think about their profit. So all their books are black and white. Regardless of the price, regardless if it matches their niche, they'll make cookbooks in black and white because they're stingy when it comes to their book creation, but they want to get as much profit as possible, which is fair enough. Most people are like that. They don't really care about the customer, they care about their profit. So if you go in a niche, and trust me, there are niches out there that are like this. If you go in a niche where everyone is selling $20 books and they're all black and white, what happens if you go in, price your book the same price as them, but your book has a colored interior? Well, you instantly stand out. So you have a USP. So the second thing you want to look at is if you have a colored interior, would that give you a USP? Would that be your unique selling point? Because if it is, then not only do you have a more visually appealing book, a more enjoyable book to read, you have a book that's easier to sell, and you instantly stand out. So people are willing to pay the higher price based on previous data that you extracted from your niche. And you also have a unique selling point without having to add anything extra, just from picking colored interior. Maybe you have to have some images or some illustrations, but having a colored interior is going to make you instantly stand out. So you automatically have a USP. Now I have a third point as well, but before I move on to the third point, there's a little warning that I have to give you. This is the warning I give to everyone that wants to do a colored interior. You have standard color and you have premium color. Both options are very good, but standard color is very limited. What do I mean by this? If you have a book like this, these are your 2 pages. If you have text like this, and then you have one small image here, and text is going like this, then great. Standard color is really good. Maybe you have an image like this, and you have a little illustration here maybe. Standard color is amazing, because standard color is a lower quality print. It's not as crystal clear as premium. So the only reason you should ever use standard color is if you have small images on your page, because standard color is not made for full page images. Now, if you have a cookbook and then this full page is the dish, let's say it's like circle like this, and there's like some chicken here, that's supposed to be a chicken. But let's say there's like a chicken drumstick here, and there's like some vegetables and things, and it takes the whole page, then premium color is what you have to pick. And then maybe you're gonna have your recipe over here. So use premium if you have full-blown images, or if you just want a better book. If your market price allows you for a higher price book, then you can pick premium either way. But if your market price is in the middle, where premium won't give you enough profit, but standard will give you enough profit, make sure that your interior for standard only has small images. If you're doing a cookbook, maybe you want to do it like this, where it's like you have a small image of your dish, and then you have your instructions down here. Because if you put a full-blown image in a standard color printed book, it's not going to look good. You're going to get negative reviews, and your book just decreases overall in quality. It just does not look good. So that's when you should use standard or premium. Small illustrations, use standard. I had a chair yoga book for seniors. I was one of the first people that ever published a chair yoga book for seniors where there was illustrations in it, because that was my USP. This was years ago. And I used standard color. Why? Because my pages were like this. I had the instructions here, and then I had an illustration here like this, and then more text here, more text here. So this, because it barely took half the page, it was enough to put a standard color printing option. And the book sold very well. I had high profit margins, and I made a bunch of money with that book. Now, I also added some little elements. So there was like little elements up here, like a little square over here, maybe like a little circle here. So standard color was a good option for me. Now, if I had a full-blown image, I probably wouldn't have picked standard color. I would have been forced to pick premium color, but that wouldn't have matched up with my market price. But anyway, let's move on to the third point. The third point is to look at your niche. You only really want to pick color if it matches with your niche. What do I mean by this? Let's say we're doing a non-fiction book for adults. These books are usually educational books. They don't really require illustrations or images, depending on the book. If you're doing a gardening book or a plumbing book or something like that, crochet maybe, then you probably need images and illustrations and all of that. But there's some non-fiction books for adults, maybe psychology books or something like that. I can't think of a niche off the top of my head. But some of them are just black and white. And you can get away with black and white, and they're priced at $16.99, and you can make good profit. Black and white, $16.99. You can make $7, $8 profit. Now, another niche you can have is a cookbook niche. This is when you can use standard color. Because cookbooks, again, they're priced around $15 plus. So you have like $5 profit margin. If it's $16.99, you can price yours at $16.99. If the market price allows you to, then you can price yours at a higher price. And then you'll get enough profit to help you scale. So cookbooks are great for adding standard color because the market price allows you to. And also, no one really wants a black and white cookbook. It's boring. Now, you also have premium color. And usually, I find that coffee table books always have premium color. Why is that? That's because they have full-blown images. They have loads of images usually because it's a coffee table book. But the good thing is these books can be priced at $25 plus. I've seen coffee table books at $40, $50, and $60. I published a coffee table book a long time ago. It was at $24. It was either $24 or $25. I was making around $7 profit. But it was only 100 or 110 pages. So I had a higher profit margin. But again, that's because my market price allowed me to. And also it was appropriate for my niche to use premium color. If I use standard color, it would be a very, very bad book. If I use black and white, it would be terrible. But if you have a kid's book like David Walliams, you know who David Walliams is? He makes a bunch of kids' books. He does black and white because there's no need for him to have colored illustration. You can still get the same message across. If you want a marriage book or you're just dealing with a divorce or your pet died and you want to know how to get over your pet dying, then some non-fiction, black and white books, you don't need colored illustrations, you don't need images. But if you got cookbooks or gardening books or instruction books that tells you step by step, and you need images like crochet or something, you're probably going to want some standard color. And then if you have a coffee table book or just a book that needs a lot of images, high quality images, take up the whole page, and the book is based on quality, and that quality is represented by a higher price, then premium color is a great option for you. Now, before I end the video, there's one final thing I want to say. I found a niche, well, I found multiple niches, where all the books in the niche were priced at 21 plus. All the books in the niche were black and white. So these guys were making $10 to $12 profit per sale, which is amazing. It's great. But guess what would happen if you decide to publish in that same niche at the same price, but your book is standard color. So you have some little illustrations, little images. What would happen then? Well, because your printing cost will be double theirs, instead of you making 10 to 12, you might be making $7 to $8 profit per sale, which is still great. But guess what? You don't really have to sell way more copies than them. You get to sell one extra copy a day and you'll probably make the same amount of money as them. Actually, let me dive deeper so I can show you. Just quickly before I end this video. So let's say we have $21.95 and again, $21.95. This one, black and white, it's got 200 pages. This is a real competitor, by the way. He makes around $8.15 because he has so many pages, that's why. Oh no, he makes around $8.50, not 15. Which means for every 100 sales, he makes $850. Now, 100 sales is not a lot. 100 sales is 50,000 ABSR. So this guy's making $850 revenue, not profit, on 50,000 ABSR. So realistically, if you want to beat him just by using standard color, then you can basically make the same book. All you have to do is make it 130 pages. Even if you have less pages, because your one is more visually appealing, you can have the same information, just more compact and also more enjoyable to read. People are not going to care if it's 130 or 200 pages. They would care if it's 30 pages against 120 pages, but not 200 against 130. Anything above 100, 120, that's okay. It's still a good quality book. It's still chunky enough for people to feel like there's value in that book. So you're going to lower the pages to reduce your printing costs, to increase your profit. And then 130 pages at standard color at $21.95 is going to give you around $680 profit per sale, which means for you to make the same $850, you have to make 126 sales, which means you get to make 26 sales extra a month, which is around 1 sale a day. Which means for you to make the same amount of money as this guy, your ABSR can't be 50,000. It has to be around 45,000, which is basically zero difference. It's 1 extra copy a day. So with 1 extra copy a day, you can completely destroy him. And not only will you destroy him, people are going to stop picking this guy because your one is obviously more appealing. You're going to start growing in the niche. You're going to become the authority figure. You're going to become the standard. And then anyone else who publishes in the same niche, if they decide to go for black and white for the higher profit margins, people are just not going to be buying their black and white books because your one is better. Obviously, you have to have a good book, good cover, good everything. Those are the basics. I'm not telling you to skip over the basics, just put standard color and you're going to be a millionaire. That's not how it works. You have a really, really high quality book, and if it's colored, you just have an extra bonus that other people don't have. You have a USP that can help you make more money. Now, if you watch my niche research video, if you're part of the community and you understand how I do niche research, you can see that this is a very low ABSR. And you also want to look at the market ABSR. So you want to see how much demand there's in the marketplace. And based on that demand, you can determine how much money you can make every month and how much market share you can actually take over. Now, if there's a possibility that you can go to 20,000 ABSR, then obviously you're making a lot more than 850. We're making $2 grand, $3 grand a month from this one book, even though it's standard color. Would you be making more black and white? Sure, maybe. But would it be as easy for you to scale it? Probably not, because you don't have anything that differentiates you. You don't have your USP, which is your colored interior. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click on the video that just popped up now. That's going to be even more valuable than this one. Go out there and make a bunch of money.